So our plan for this evening, I have my helper and trying to kind of pass a little bit of this knowledge on to him. We were going to build a fish tank stand, and I was going to record that. But then I realized I had taped the saw up for. Oh man, this stuff is still gloopy. I had taped the saw up to do. This is going to be a mold of the inside of the saw, and it's so that I can thermoform a guard for it. And what I'm going to do is just get a rough shape and then buzz it down to more of an organic shape that I would actually want it to be. So this is just a rough casting. But what I'm using, and I have no idea if it's going to work or not, so this will be a true experiment. I'm using plaster of Paris, and I'm hoping plaster of Paris will withstand the melting temperature. My first attempt is going to be with polypropylene, and from what I read online, which incidentally is what these Slurpee cups are made out of, and they're pretty stiff. So it's polypropylene, and it melts at 380 degrees. And I'm going to cut the Slurpee cup open and just try to drape form it over the finished plug. My concern is, from everything that I've looked at online, when they form polypropylene, they inject it into a mold under high pressure. They don't blow mold it, they don't rotomold it. It's something that's actually shot in. So my concern is it's not going to drape form, and it's going to be a piece of crap and not do what I want it to do. So my fallback, I looked at some milk jugs I have. Actually, they're water jugs this morning, and they're PTFE. And PTFE has a much lower melting point. It's softer, which I don't like, but it behaves more like what I would want, like almost like drape forming acrylic. And so my first attempt is going to be polypropylene, and my second attempt is going to be PTFE. And if that doesn't work, I'll swear a whole bunch, and who knows what will happen after that. So what I'll do is we'll stop the video here because I got to let this harden up a little more, and we'll continue on with the video of trying to make this thing once this gets hardened up and I can pull it out in about 45 minutes or whatever. So talk to you in a little bit. Alright, I'm trying to... This is the form I ended up with. I broke this thing I don't know how many times. I'm trying to melt it down and get it formed over this, to drape form it, to get it close to the inside of this. My first test is with a milk jug. We'll see if it gets brittle or not. It turns opaque when it starts to melt, so we'll see if I can get it to form down over this piece. Look at that thing steam. So this is the extent of my drape forming test with the milk jug. It forms really easy, but you'd have to have a It's not very rigid is the first problem. Second problem is it doesn't, when it dries, it changes shape. It doesn't lay down and stay down flat. You'd have to vacuum form it, and it's just, I don't think it's rigid enough. So, what is this? This is polystyrene. I know the super big gulp cups are polypropylene. I don't think I have enough of them to do anything with. Forgot. Well, I can at least do a shrink test. See what this stuff does under heat. So this stuff, when it heats up, actually pulls apart, it shrinks. See it shrink down. So it's no wonder they injection mold this stuff. It doesn't, I don't know what you'd even call it. It pulls back when you heat it. It congeals, condenses. And so to do anything with this, I guess you have to inject it under pressure. It's funny how the polypropylene behaves differently than this. I think this is PTFE or something like that. Where's the lid at? Number 3. Yeah, I don't know. So back to the drawing board on this whole dust collection thing. I'll have to see if I want to try to vacuum form down over this with some of this milk jug material, and then I don't even know if I could get a sheet of it that's flat. I know I could probably do acrylic forming, but acrylic's brittle. And so I'm just not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to think about it and get back to you guys.